Yo, what's up everyone? My name is Cody Jones and today I'm going to be doing a tier list. But before we get into that, I want you guys to know that I already did a tier list for horror movies on Halloween night with my sister. So you guys can go ahead and check that out on Spotify, the J&D podcast. But other than that, today's episode I'm going to be doing a tier list for the Spider-Man films. And basically, it's going to be all the Spider-Mans, the Into the Spider-Verse, the Morbius, Venoms, all that shit. I'm going to be doing a ranking of all of those movies on this tier maker list. And I might have a MCU movie episode on the J&D podcast as well. Maybe this Sunday, maybe another Sunday. I'm still planning everything out. And I'm also still trying to get shit done and get everything set it up for this upcoming Christmas. Also, I'm still job searching, but I'm just creating content for you guys in the meantime. So I hope that you guys enjoy this video. And honestly, I'm just gonna start with the very first movie, Morbius. Now the tier list is gonna be spectacular, amazing, pretty good. It's fine, mediocre, awful. And what I find funny is below awful is Morbius. And if you don't know why, then it's because Morbius was so terrible for some people that it was just below. It was just terrible for everyone. Now, honestly, I think people are just being haters because I think Morbius was actually really dope. But, I mean, that's the point in the comment section, just to hear what you guys think. So, I'm already going to start this tier list with Morbius. And I'm just going to say that the movie was fine. It wasn't great. It wasn't as dope as the Venom movies. But it was enjoyable all the same. And honestly, I think the character creating was just as good as I expected. I kind of, I expected a little bit more, but a little bit less. I guess it was as good as I kind of figured it would be. I mean, honestly, my buddy Daquan already gave his review, whenever that movie comes into topic, and he completely agrees that it was shit. Again, I think people are just being haters is all. I mean, I'm not going to say that it was pretty good or mediocre. It was just on the fine line of, it was a fine movie. It was decent. I mean, again, I kind of expected more, but I should have figured that it wasn't going to be as great as I hoped. Also, excuse me for how I sound because I am still a little tiny bit sick. But I'm not going to stop that I'm not going to let it stop me from making videos. So, the next movie I'm going to be talking about is Into the Spider-Verse. This one was amazing. Probably one of the best movies I've seen yet. I love the art style. I love the storylines. It was enjoyable from beginning to end. The characters were hilarious. The jokes and everything. Especially as they poked fun at the dancing scene in Spider-Man 3. I thought that shit was hilarious. The characters were just as amusing and funny to watch. This whole movie was amazing. I loved it from beginning to end, and I'm actually excited for the new Into the Spider-Verse movie that's coming in soon. And honestly, I will be doing a review for that as well. Now, for the next one, it's going to be the very first Spider-Man movie. I'm going to move it to amazing as well. Because honestly, not only was this movie the very beginning, the very first Spider-Man movie I've ever seen, the very first Spider-Man, on the big screen and everything, it was the greatest moment when I saw it. Especially since growing up, I've always been a very huge Spider-Man fan. Ever since I was a child, and I've always wanted to be Spider-Man. But I mean, and honestly, with Willem Dafoe playing the Green Goblin, I thought that was perfection from beginning to end. The character building and everything, it was the greatest. I think he absolutely killed it in the best way possible. So Spider-Man 1, amazing as well. Actually, no. I'm going to move it to spectacular because that is how much I enjoyed the first movie. Now for the next one, Spider-Man 2, I might bump it up to spectacular as well because this one was also the best and it's one of my favorite villains, Doc Ock. And honestly, I think that this is one of the best villains because he is the perfect match for Spider-Man with intelligence and creativity, like just bouncing off of one another. Like, it was the best villain that Stan Lee has created, and honestly, this is one of my favorites, especially with the guy that they got playing Doc Ock. That was amazing. I loved it. So honestly, I'm moving Spider-Man 2 to spectacular as well because this one was the next best thing since the very first. With Spider-Man 3, I would actually say that it's mediocre. Sadly. I mean, I love the story. I love the villain that they got to play Sandman. I don't agree with the choice that they got for Venom, especially with the way that they made him in that movie. It was terrible. But in a way, it kind of introduced me to Venom and to who he is and everything. But not the way that I wanted it to be. And I have read the comics. I've read a lot of the Venom books. And it was all amazing to read. But I do not agree with the actor choice or the way that they did him in the movie. So I'm moving Spider-Man 3 to mediocre because it was shit. Especially since they killed off Goblin Jr., which was another very big loss in the storyline. Now, again, I'm also going to poke fun at Spider-Man 3 because the fucking Bully Maguire scene, it was just terrible. From the very first start of that scene to the very ending of his character becoming a complete piece of shit. That really sucked. I hated it. I mean, I kind of expected it because in the books, Peter Parker was a complete prick, especially when he put it on the suit. It really made him into an asshole. But in a way, I mean, it still sucked either way. So this movie was bullshit. I did not like it. Now for the next one, it's going to be Amazing Spider-Man with the one and only Andrew Garfield. This one was like the next Spider-Man movie that just came out after Spider-Man 3 was done. Now, what I do like is the fact that they try to follow the same recipe, the same origin story, but with a different tone. It was a little bit like it added a little bit more humor and a little bit more dark into the storyline, but it wasn't really all that great as the Tobey Maguires. I mean, they tried to make it funny and it really wasn't. I mean, some of it kind of was, but it was still terrible. But the villain that they did pick was a very good choice, especially with the actor. Now, I never even knew who the Lizard was until I saw this movie, and it was actually really enjoyable. So I guess I'd bring it up to pretty good. It was a pretty good movie. I liked it, and I would be down to watch it whenever it's available on TV. But it doesn't really top The Amazing Spider-Man 2. This one was the best. But again, with the villain choice and the way that they did them, not all that great. I mean, the only enjoyable thing that the Spider-Man 2 movie brought was Electro, and the soundtrack was on point. That was the only upside to this movie. Everything else, the storyline and everything, it was good. Didn't care for the way that they did Goblin though. It was garbage. So I don't really know how to. I guess I'd probably add it to pretty good as well because again it was enjoyable, but not as enjoyable as Into the Spider-Verse. But it's not as terrible as Morbius. Now for the next one, Homecoming. I'm bumping that up to amazing as well because this one was the very first movie that introduced me to Tom. Uh, fuck, why am I forgetting his name? Tom Holland. I never even heard of this dude until I seen him play Spider-Man in Captain America: Civil War. When I saw him get introduced into the movie, I thought it was the greatest, but kind of weird because of how young he was. But I mean, in a way, it made sense because Peter Parker was like a teenager, so I guess it seemed right the way that they picked him. So, and I think that they really perfected the right Peter Parker and everything with the Homecoming movie. It was enjoyable, and I love the way that they made Vulture. That one was amazing as well. I loved it. And I'm happy that he did get a little cameo in the ending of Morbius. So I'm bumping Homecoming to amazing as well because I loved it from beginning to end. And I actually do not regret buying the Blu-ray. Like, so this movie was very enjoyable to watch. But what I will say is Far From Home would be moved up to spectacular as well because I think this one was the greatest one as well since Spider-Man 2 came out. I loved it from beginning to end as much as all the other ones. Now for the next one is Venom. This one was the best. So what I will say is that I will actually bump up Venom to amazing as well because it was a very dope storyline. I enjoyed it, and I'm actually happy that they chose Tom Hardy to play off Venom because I think it really made it enjoyable to watch, especially since they completely did Venom the right way. So I'm gonna bump it up to amazing as well. I mean, despite the fact that a lot of people really give this movie shit, but I mean, honestly, I don't really care for what people say. You know, it's like I'd rather find out what I think of the movie for myself than to listen to what others think. Because honestly, everyone is like, they can keep their opinions to themselves or whatever and say what they think. Just like with Black Adam and Wakanda Forever, everyone has an opinion. We are all entitled to it. So, but I'm not going to listen to what they think. What I think is completely based upon me. Now, for the next Spider-Man movie, honestly, I already know where this movie is going. It's going to be right in front of the very first Spider-Man movie. Because this one was the greatest Spider-Man movie that came out. If I can fucking... fuck it. I don't know where it's going. But No Way Home was the greatest Spider-Man movie that ever came out. Especially since they were very close to bringing the Sinister Six in, but they still managed to make it dope either way, even if it was only 5. But the way that they brought every almost every villain back from all the other Spider-Man movies and combine them into one group of evil villains. That one was the best thing that they've done for this movie. And the fight between him and Doctor Strange, it really made the whole movie more interesting. So I already bumped up No Way Home to Spectacular. The best movie list, like the best role for all these movies. Now for the last one, I'm gonna be bumping Let There Be Carnage to I'm probably just gonna bump it to pretty good. I mean, I enjoyed the carnage that they did. I enjoyed the venom, but it really had a very strange, like, I don't know. I wasn't really digging the way that they just separated Tom Hardy and Venom, you know, or not Tom Hardy, Eddie Brock and Venom, because it really made it seem like a love story kind of thing, like how they just argue and then go their own separate ways, blaming one another and shit. And the way that they made Venom look, it was really like it seemed more humorous than like what others would expect. I mean, the storyline as well, like, I don't know. I guess I can say that Let There Be Carnage was a pretty good movie. Not as great, not as terrible. It was just pretty good. But other than that, I think that this is actually the best tier list I can give it. With Spectacular being Spider-Man 1, No Way Home, Spider-Man 2, and Far From Home. Amazing being Into the Spider-Verse, Homecoming, and Venom. Pretty good being Amazing Spider-Man 1 and 2, and Let There Be Carnage. And then, well, I mean, I guess I can switch Morbius to mediocre and Spider-Man 3 to it's fine. Or you know what? No. I guess I can say that they're both pretty mediocre. Like, none of them were all that. Like, those two movies weren't really all that great, but they weren't terrible. They were just a little bit average, below average. But other than that, guys, I actually hope that you enjoy this tier list. And I will be doing more tier lists like this in the future. I might even do them on the podcast. I don't really know. I'm still planning everything out with everything going on. But other than that, I actually do hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you have, let me know what you think. Let me know if you agree or disagree with this tier list. And I'll see you in the next video. I'm out.